this is this is something that is true, and and it sort of gets circulated on other channels in the spiritual community. Um, but I do sometimes from time to time when I have like idle time, I'm just relaxing, yeah, and I'll do a data review, sort of a review of the data, particularly for those that I've worked with who were how do I put this? If you go back to some of my videos, I talked about Misha, and we think about words that I've always used my whole life: infinite potential, evolution of consciousness, the infinite potential, and what words that I use called infinite creative possibilities, and the infinite creative potential, and the speed at which change takes place when you're on fire to create, because you're experiencing the one, the eternal spirit of fire, because now you're lit on fire. That means you're running at full capacity, which means you're fully awake. I'm fully awake. That's what it feels like. And so when I was about, because I picked my biological family, and my dad was an aeronautical engineer, former Navy pilot. When I was young, I was looking at his aeronautical all of the trade journals, that aeronautical engineers and those folks in the defense industry, the war machine department, or war machine factories, machine code. And so when I was small, right around, I had this up and running and was able to map, read, and realize on a spiritual battlefield when I was 4 years old. Okay, and for reasons that are obvious. You're on a mission that is running at the highest speed there is. And so by the time I was about 6 years old, and I was reading through all my father's manuals, technical manuals, one of the first things that I remember after, when I think of using, math functions, an exponent, a log scale, when you think of the inception of technology, the inception of fire, the first atmosphere, the first engine of creation, right? And you get into infinite potential, infinite creative potentials, what's possible, right? So, and I covered my relationship with Misha because she wanted to be loved. She wants to heal really bad. Okay, so what she saw in my eyes was what I experienced, which is what love is. That's what she wanted to experience. She wanted to experience what I had. That's why she said to me one day, "You're mine. Your spirit, the spirit that is in your energy is mine, because you're experiencing what love is, and I want to experience what love is. And so I'm grabbing you to do that, because I want to experience what you're experiencing, which is what love in me." Okay, we'll do that. That's the truth of it. So I told her, "Son, this is what's going to happen. Even though your mother is married, but she's seeing another guy, because Misha was sexually raped and abused and sodomized when she was 2 and 3 years of age. She has 3 personalities, 3 disassociative identities. With 2 children, one is 14 and a little girl who's, at the time she was 4 years of age. Okay? So what I told Logan one evening, after I'd been in the house for about a week, when I was going over to Oahu from this island, the Big Island, in order to have some surgery done. So I was just going to see the doctor and be evaluated for a major surgery, because they're going to have to repair a 5-inch hole that I had in my abdominal wall. And so that's all timeline stuff. But nevertheless, I stayed there. And while I was there, they all began healing in that house. That's the way it is, right? You're bringing in a high capacity unit, right? You're bringing in love energy. Love energy is present. You don't have to say a word. The energy's there in your house. So what ended up happening is that her mother realized she was healing, And I thought she was going to release it all. You know what an energy transfer is? Release all that pain into me and I can transmute it. And she nearly did it. She was bawling like a little girl. She wants to feel the innocence of awareness in that child within her so much. She wants to feel her spirit being on fire like a little child and wants to create a universe together with another spirit. She saw that in me when her eyes locked with my eyes. Soul to soul, spirit to spirit. That's how you do it. We're on fire. Right? So you got to restore your fire, which restore your light, which means jumpstart it. Right? Resuscitate this girl's the capacitor on a motherboard. Right? She wanted it bad. So I told her son, if your mother's serious with this, spirit to spirit, she wants to spend time, this is called clearing the cache. Okay? It's what I call clearing the cache. Healing the memories. Bringing you back where you're jumped up and you look like an S, an X. Both your arms are wide open in the air looking at the sun and you're free. Your spirit is free. You're no longer being held captive. Right? Now you're gifting electrons at the highest rate of speed. Now you're one. That's what I am. Now you can experience being one with me. Your spirit is the same thing I am because now we're both experiencing what love is in the purest form and flow in which it happens as the first creative engine. So I told her son one day after she was bawling and she did not want me to leave the house as a result of that when I had to come back to this island. Even though she's also already seeing another boyfriend. Right? So you see how that works with dissociative identity disorders, particularly when it comes into energetic and sexual energy vampires, and how that's all cross-indexed to cellular memories on the planet. Right? I did a video on that once. Okay? Remember, just like when I was a child, 9 years of age, I'm experiencing what you're experiencing. Even though I'm not you, I'm experiencing what you're experiencing. So when your full senses are up, right, and you're fully awake, right, there's no separation between I am what you are, what I'm giving love to. So I told her son, listen, this is the way that it works. I'm an old timer at learning how to heal myself. Like dogs will lick their wounds. A wolf will lick its wounds. Got to heal yourself. You got to get yourself back into shape and get back on the horse. You're on a spiritual battlefield between spirits, which is energy, which is consciousness. Energy against energy. Yeah, so it's control over energy. So when I was 6 years of age, the first thing that I asked myself was, how long have they been allowed to harvest energy off these folks? Which is really energy harvesting off of batteries to run a system that's broken. Right? It's a communication platform, yeah. Communication, DNA is communication, the language of DNA, yeah. Language of codes, the language of frequency, the language of antennas. So when I was 6 years of age, I began mapping the gain and loss of electrons. How long is it going to take? Right? So when you think of it through the lens of Terence McKenna and Ralph Abramson, who ran a mathematics lab at Visual Mathematical Laboratory at University of California, Santa Cruz, with Rupert Sheldrake, the morphogenetic field structure guy. And it's not 3. And so I the first thing that I noticed is how long does it take to you mean to tell me that the people on this planet could not get it figured out in less than 1 generation? Right? To take the leashes, collars, and cages off of them? Right? They should be able to do this in 1 generation. I did. Right? But there's a difference between. This is what I realized. I woke up, didn't I? I'm fully awake. I lit myself on fire. I did that in 1 generation. You want to know why that is? They weren't going to wake up. They had to be woken up. They had to be woken up. See how that works? We had to wake them up. Somebody asked me a long time ago, so when you were a little boy, you were already fully awake. That's correct. That's correct. So now I came in here to wake everybody else up. Now, I'm not the only one. I'm just another one. You know, that's the beauty of being equal unto all. I'm just another one. I'm one. I'm the law of one. A pillar of light. The first pillar, the first bi-voltage line of communication. Right? So when I stand, wherever I stand on this planet, that's sacred ground. I am what love is. I am sacred ground. When I walk out on this rock like I did a little while ago, I looked directly up at the sun before it was coming down. This is sacred ground. This rock, this island is sacred ground. I've sanctified it, purified it. Okay, this is sacred ground. Largest shield volcano on the planet, sacred ground. You know how to do that with your spirit and your oversoul, right? This is sacred ground. Where I live is sacred ground. It's as pure as it gets. So anyway, I was reminiscing about infinite potentials, infinite creative possibilities. When the creative engine is on fire, that's what scares them. Because nothing is faster, nothing learns faster. A unit of self-awareness is on fire to create because it's running on pure love. Bye. That species will be right? So you don't want to be left behind. That's what scares them. Because they don't learn that fast. Because the creative engine is not on fire. That's why when I used to see a picture of Misha as an X, where her spirit has been freed, the spirits and all the elementals are free. Right? A universe that is in love with itself. They're all on fire. That's what the law is. So the law is supposed to prevail, right? And so we realized that, hey, you got to get it figured out in a generation. We got to wake them up or we're going to lose them. Now we're into damage assessment, damage control, and surveying the damage. That requires a full data analysis, yeah. And so it's gone. I uploaded it. I'm not the only one. But I know this. The amount of data. I mean, when you start, it's a lot. It's an awful lot when you're in transmutation mode. Which, and this is the truth of it, anything that is less than the purest eternal light, it gets transmuted. Okay? No finite dead light. Sorry. It didn't start with artificial dead light. It started with the light we run on, which is the purest of love. That's the first engine. Anything that's less than the first engine, just burn it off. Right? Pure love is what heals us. And AI is not going to heal you. Okay? Souls heal souls and spirit. That's what polarity integration work is pulling all the you know what DNA debris is, right? Noise. A lot of noise. Silent running. Golden fire. Emerald gems. Yeah, I'm Pink. So have a good night. I love you all. Be good to yourselves. Um, but yeah, it is the Great Awakening. It had everything to do with infinite potentials. Ever heard of that old saying? Being the star, the gleam in Daddy's eyes. So if you're the orgasm of the cosmos on the male side of the seeds, and you want to be the same with the female, the flower side of the cosmos, which means the seed and the grower become one. That's the eternal spirit of fire. Now you're on fire to create. And that means that you know how to love the universe that you're in. Yeah. That means you know how to heal anything. Yeah. Because they're getting the real McCoy. It is not artificial light. It is the real stuff, which is real love that knows how to love you. So that you remember the single point from which it all began. Because now you're experiencing that love in yourself with your spirit and your soul. Have a good night. We love you all. Be good to yourselves.